And we're live on Fun Frolicking Friday.
Yay! Happy Fun Frolicking Friday, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. We're here we missed the last two Fridays. I
Yes.
was away. And so I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy to be sharing on a very juicy, hot topic today, talking about the cycle of life, the feminine flow, the menstrual cycle, the moon cycle, however you see it, we are going to talk about it. And this is something that Karezza and I have been wanting to bring alive for a little bit now. And so, if there's anything alive for you around this topic, please do share in the chat box. If you have any questions, your curiosities, let us know. This show is created for you. We do have some great things we want to share with you and talk to you about, but we can always, change what we're talking about to show up for you, and love hearing from you and all the interaction. So I'm Candace of the Temple of Frolic. I'm currently living in New Hampshire. Um, but I'm gunning to relocate back to San Diego. That's where I just was. And so that's me. I don't, you guys know me. If you want to know more about me, you can go to templeofrolic.com. And we have Karezza here of the Intimate
Hi.
Playground. Um, and yeah, so please excuse my voice. Uh, the flight home was rough on my head, and my ears are still popping, and my head feels like all weird. And I don't know what I sound like, but it feels very weird up here. Um, so I might yawn a lot or just go like that to try to like pop my ears. So excuse me, I'm okay. So Karezza, I'd love for you to share about you and what's alive for you in this topic. And this is also going to be a little teaser for a show coming up in 2 weeks. And I'd love you to introduce that a little bit too, since you brought that
Yeah,
into it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my name is Karezza, and I'm an eco-conscious sex and intimacy coach. And I bring play into my coaching to help people, both men and women, expand their lives, both as single and in relations. Um, I also create some fun games and products. I'm in the process of creating an erotic foreplay dough to use on your body for fun and games with yourself and your partner. Um, and yeah, today we'll be talking about the power of the menstruation slash moon cycle. And I'm so excited to get into this topic. And as a teaser and a taster to what is to come, with a sex, men's sex coach, counselor, Kristopher Lovestone. He actually wrote a book called The Conscious Cock. He'll be on the show the 4th of June, which is in 2 weeks. And he does explore the topic of menstruation and understanding that for men and how it looks like and strategies to help men understand women. And with me, in my own connection to menstruation, I actually grew up never really being connected to the importance or what the menstruation cycle was. And today it seems like everybody is doing a red tent, and having an altar and using blood and frolicking in the woods and exciting, powerful energies and just really frolicking in their own beautiful, creative renewing energies. But I feel, for me, it was never like that. I never saw people around me who were really conscious or saw depth, something deeper, a deeper connection with the blood and what was menstruation, but just a time frame where you bled and had to use feminine products and you were in pain, and that was about it. And now, now it's, I mean, I'm not as so spiritual, but it does resonate more meaning and more connection to myself and to my body and what you can create during that time. And if, being in relationship with a partner, I mean, I'm single now, but in the past, I even had negative experience as well, where a guy would say, oh, your blood is disgusting. Oh, it's your job to take care of it, not mine. And so I never really experienced how a guy was supposed to really treat you or be with you during that time period as well. So there's a lot to learn still.
Yeah. Thank you, for your vulnerable share and, bringing this topic alive and bringing the conscious talk to us. And your last piece there really touched me. I'm really grateful to, have a different relationship to what I refer to as my moon cycle today. And I'm very grateful to have had the gift of relating to many people who have held some beautiful space for me in my moon. And I've had the wild opportunity to hold that same space for other people. And it's so magical. It's so powerful. And it's so sad and painful. And it brings up both rage and sadness when, I hear, you share about what people have said to you about your moon. And, thankfully, I've had those experiences, but they're so far gone that I've had other ones that replaced them. And I also, another vision I got, I remember, in the beginning, at the first sight of blood, I'm an innocent young girl and I'm excited and it's like, oh, I'm growing, I'm a woman. And I remember trying to figure out how to use a tampon with a girlfriend in a grocery store bathroom. And reading the box and reading about toxic shock syndrome and oh my God, I'm gonna die if I use this. We just had no education, none. We should have been able to go to our health teacher or something. We should have known. But there was nothing, unfortunately. And then came relating to others and the shame and all the stuff that lingers around the moon cycle. Women are too much, women are crazy, women are whatever it is, bitchy, women are whatever it is, it's dirty, it's messy, it's and then there's religious kind of stuff that some have, and so there's just so many ways that we have related to the period in ways that are to me personally feel that make me feel a little disheartened, And then there are many ways we can relate to our moon that really excite me. And I'm grateful that, as you said, Karezza, we are expanding. There are now people gathering and playing with their blood and celebrating their blood, making, blood altars and doing moon rituals, and especially, in relationship. I feel like it's so important. For me, I know it's very important. And it's a conversation that I have at the beginning of relating. Yeah, it's very important to me. And if someone can't relate to me on my moon, I can't relate to them. I just can't. I need to be loved and adored, like, especially during that time. We are so sensitive. We may seem we're like big scary monsters sometimes. We're just, it's pain. It's like, it's like this accumulation of stuff that's been building for a month, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah. And it could look a lot of ways. And I love it. I love celebrating the emotions and the medicine. Yeah.
Well, I think, oh, sorry.
No.
I think one of the things for someone in relationship, whether you're a man or a woman or whatever you identify with, when your partner is having or in their cycle, it's just another aspect of the self of them as a woman. Like, it's nothing bad, but it's just like when you have sex and you want things different, like your body is craving different things and it's never the same all the time. So, once a month, you see a different aspect of the feminine, a different aspect of the person whom you're with, whether, through emotions and feelings and actions or inactions and, little things that are done to help them. It's just another side of the essence of their being, that, to embrace and to love, just like you love them when they don't have their period. So that, just because there's blood and heightened emotion doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that.
It's those two things. Like, once you break away, the barriers and start shedding the shame around it, there's so much pleasure and joy and peace to be found, both like in your relationship, if you're in partnership, in your personal life, and in your actual flow. Like, if you are someone who has a really painful cycle, I've witnessed in my own body that when I'm having really painful cycles, it's usually when there's something I'm not paying attention to. There's something I'm stuffing. There's something I'm not letting myself feel. And when I was, on birth control and using different things to try to control my cycle, the cycle was not happy. And it definitely, it showed up very differently than now. I'm a free flower. I don't use blockers. I don't use tampons, or I like to free flow as much as I can. And I'm not on any medications or anything to control my flow. I listen to it. I play with it. I drop into it, Yeah, it's so beautiful. Mm,
Beautiful.
yeah. So I'm curious, is there any questions from the
Yes.
cyber world or
I was just
comments?
gonna say, I was just gonna say, Kurt asked, what is your expectation of what men should be doing or knowing about women during their menstrual time? Some women do not like to share, or that it's disgusting to be having relations at their menstrual time.
Mm. And so first, like, if that's that woman's experience, I would want to honor that, while
Mm-hmm.
at the same time trying to help recreate a more loving relationship for them with their moon. When I first
Yeah.
heard your question, Kurt, like, I mean, I have my personal, like, I know for me what I need and what I want. And like, I was sharing prior to this, like, I actually have, like, I have a clear, like, I've been, spouting this out for a long time. If I wasn't blind, I would have it written out that I could hand it out to people. Yeah. But like for
Great.
me, like, yeah, like I said, there's only one of these things that's like a have to for me. And what I would suggest you offer to the feminine, if you're relating to them, within the first 3 days of the blood presenting itself, offer some sort of sacred love ritual where you honor their body, where you honor their yoni, um,
Mm.
in a way that feels comfortable to them and to you. And that could look a lot of different ways. Um, that's like one big thing for me, amongst like, give me chocolate, give me love, uh, fuck me, feed me, put me to bed, pet me, tell me everything's okay, leave me alone. Just listen, okay? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the best thing you can do. Just listen. Um, it could look a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And it could change like that. Um, yeah, yeah. Knowing, and like each, there can be commonalities. Like I said, I mean, I know for myself, I have certain things that I know I need. You know, um, but with different partners, I'm open to the recreation, you know, to make it feel mutual, like we are both able to enjoy this.
Mm.
So for me, so like, I'll share a couple things here. It's very personal. So this here is a diva cup. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up. If I need to stop my flow for some reason, like I just want to wear something that's not black, or I want to walk around naked and not bleed all over everything, um, this is what I would use, because it's safe, it's silicone, and for me, I like to journal and paint with my blood. So, God, this is so private. This
Beautiful.
is this is one of my journal entries, with my blood.
Yeah.
And as a blind person now, I can't really see it. And so the cup actually helps me kind of create like a paint palette container. um, and so, maybe this is way too out there for you. I get that. Totally cool. Doesn't mean we can't relate.
No. Yeah.
There are still ways that you can celebrate the moon, um, without getting all woo-woo, both in your relationship to yourself and your relationship to
Yeah.
those you're relating to. Something just as simple as gazing into your partner's yoni,
Mm.
or gazing into your own yoni during that time, and sharing what you see and offering words of praise and affirmation, that can be magical. just my whole body just like, and that's actually something I asked. I have a partner that we're long distance, and I'm like feeling really needy, and I was like, hey, tomorrow can we do like some virtual yoni gazing? Like I need to feel that connection. And
Wow.
yeah, and it's scary and intimate and vulnerable, especially like virtually. And I can't see them. You know. Um, so but that's the power, the vulnerability. There is so much power in intimacy and potentiality for connection and pleasure when we allow ourselves to go into these really vulnerable places with ourselves and with one another.
Yeah. I think another great thing to do as well is to just be, I love when a guy puts his hand on my yoni, but just like not doing anything, but
Like a
just on
hand
top
hug.
of the part, the vulva, and just lays his hand there and looks at me. I mean, it's very intense and honoring, and that you're there together in a union, even though maybe you're not in penetration literally, but you are, like, you're penetrating through touch, you're penetrating through eyes and just energies. So just because you're not inserting your lingam or penis, it doesn't mean that you're not connecting on a deep level. And also knowing, though, that if you are a guy in a situation where you've never been in a place, or you've never grown up, or you never were taught about the menstruation cycle, or just didn't really care, or I don't know, maybe your girlfriend or partner never really wanted any help, or it was her own thing to deal with, then I think I would say two basic ideas to help, pieces of advice, are to maybe look at an app and understanding, actually downloading an app. I don't know which ones. I have one. I don't know what it's called. And tracking, what weeks and what days or what weeks during that time, writing notes down. Oh, when is a good time, when should I suggest to do something, to go out or to do something fun together, when should we, to connect, doing something intimate maybe is a better time to ask, or to bring up something that may be a little bit more emotionally high strung. Maybe today is not a good time, but if you track it and have patterns, you can understand, maybe have a little bit clearer understanding of where she is during that time. And also just asking, like, what would you like? What do you need? If you have no idea, and then maybe down the line, oh, let me get you a warm water bottle because I know you like that. Or let me get you a chocolate ice cream because I know that you like that. And you don't have to ask that question again, because you're learning, and that's okay. You can't understand every single aspect of the person, and people change. So sometimes maybe it is good to ask a question from time to time, because maybe tomorrow they want vanilla ice cream or whatever. So people are always changing as well. So I think it's just great to check in. It's just as a part of being empathetic and understanding, where they are at, and bridging that gap between a man and a woman, or two persons, with whatever they identify with. Yeah, because that's what really changes the world. That's what we see. That's where it's at. To be able to be someone actually changing themselves and understanding and really being aware of what's going on, rather than being oblivious. Even though my father or my brother wasn't like that, doesn't mean I can't be different. And being different doesn't mean bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just like had a thought like of how magical it feels when someone does, or like imagine like getting that text message or that phone call, or having your partner or your lover say, hey honey, I know your moon's coming, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
Or checking in, like
Yeah.
like they're like letting you know like you're aware, and you're in tune and you care. Just it's so nourishing. It's so nourishing. Definitely. Yeah.
But also not forgetting the guy though, because sometimes I think we, if you're, sometimes a woman can come off, if she's really in touch with it, she can really throw a lot at him. Like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you go out here? Do this for me, do that for me. And that's not a bad thing, but also knowing as a guy that if it's too much and he's working and taking, maybe you have a child or whatever, who knows what's going on, that okay, maybe he needs to go out and take a breather, maybe he needs to have time with his friend or have a chat or go to the park. So not forgetting your partner is important as well, because I think when sometimes we get a loss, we get a strong control, we want all these things or need these things, but then we kind of forget about, oh, but what, am I doing too much to him?
Mm-hmm.
Am I putting too much on him?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. So I feel like having these conversations to
Yeah.
find mutuality, to have a mutually created kind of co-created plan for at this time, like, so I know for me, so I was laughing and smiling, like I can be that person, it's like, oh my God, I'm really needy right now. So having a dialogue, and even being able to laugh about it, like, hey Candace, you're doing that thing. Like, hey Candace, remember I got needs too.
Yes.
I may need to be reminded, I may not want to hear it, but it's okay to remind me. And yeah, having some sort of language, and make sure the language is sweet, not like making it wrong, or making it bad for them to be this way at this time. Finding some sort of sweet languaging. Yeah, because those words at that time are penetrating. That's penetrating.
Yeah.
And yeah, on the word on penetrating, I wanted to share, you shared about what I would refer to as a yoni hand hug.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can.
Yeah.
It's well, at least I know, and in my experience, penetration doesn't require to feel penetrated, to experience that. It doesn't require any actual physical penetration. Yeah, with intention, with connection. Like I said, being in a virtual, like, I can feel this person, like I am fully making love with this person virtually, and like literally feel like I need water and chocolate and a nap afterwards. Like my body experiences it that way, even though there's no actual physical. Like that's the power we have. And especially when you're on your moon, like
Yeah.
You just so open. I feel like it's an opening, and you can experience so much.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Any other comments or questions out there?
No, just Kurt.
Did we sufficiently answer your question, Kurt? If you're still there, or if you have any other questions
Yeah.
or comments, feel free to share. Um, yeah, it's a big thing.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just listen. That's actually a perfect answer. Yeah.
What was that?
When we answered the question,
Oh,
just listening to your partner
yeah.
is a perfect answer. So
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Listening. Mm. Yeah. For me, I I have I have high standards around my moon cycle, and
Yeah.
like I feel like I am one of those high maintenance people. Like but I'm glad I know that about myself, and that I honor that
Ooh.
for myself, because like if I open up my body to someone that can't honor me the way I know I need to be honored, that's going to be really painful. And I'm setting them up to feel as well as myself. You know, it just, yeah. So sometimes it's like, oh, why am I so needy? Maybe if I wasn't so needy and my moon wasn't so intense, or, it's like,
Mm.
no, screw that. I want to be with people that are like, yeah, Candace, bring it. Show me how much fire you got,
Oh
cry.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have another question from Kristopher Lovestone, who's going to be on the show. He asks, any recommendations for helping men to think of menstrual blood as sacred rather than dirty?
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I think Karezza, what you shared. So like I feel like there could be a spiritual answer to that, depending on their background and their belief system.
Yeah.
But then there's the science factor, like what you shared, Karezza.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that thinking like blood is life force, is life itself. It's, when you look at sperm and an egg, when you bleed, you're technically renewing you're dropping an egg that can potentially be fertilized, correct? Then, if you think about it, that blood is actually has the potentiality of becoming life itself when you bring sperm into it.
Mhm.
So that whole blood and sperm idea, I mean, if also when you make love during your period, even it can probably be even deeper and more spiritual as well, and sacred. But to think of it, or to look at it from that perspective, that blood, it's life. It's not something dirty. It's not something that you should shy away from, or like, if I get it on my hands, it's something that's just dirty. It's something that, religions have thought still think is disgusting, where in Judaism, for instance, at least in the Orthodox, ultra conservative peoples, the women are actually separated from the women are separated from the men in a house, because of the blood, because it's dirty. And if we can't move beyond that, how can we evolve? How can we, change the world through looking at blood through the eyes of, you know, of that it's sickly and dirty? Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the science, the fact that it's a part of life is one component of what makes the blood sacred.
Yeah.
And then I think if you drop into the male mind of like just a horny mind versus needing to see it as sacred and trying to get away from the dirty, if someone isn't as spiritual, um, explaining to a man the potentiality of the pleasure of what they could witness in a woman if they were to get rid of that with negative condemnation of any sort and apply a more reverent, sacred approach to relating to them during their moon cycle, whatever that may be. Um, like it's, yeah, like if you are a man, if you haven't witnessed gifting these kinds of experiences and this level of reverence to a woman and what that brings alive in her, like you're missing out, man. Like that, I think that's something to encourage a man. Like, you see
Yes.
what comes through me when you love me, when I am in my like roar. I think you'll like
Mm.
it, and I think you'll be very happy you did. you know, um, yeah.
Yes.
I feel like it contributes to whenever I've experienced a man experiencing me in this part of me, I witness them both like feeling more like a man and becoming like this roar is awakened in them as well as I see some really big like inner child little boy healing stuff happen. Um yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Both the king and the prince gets fed when they feed the blood.
Mm.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be great to meet a guy that actually is just bewildered and so amazed at the blood and what, menstruation means. Because I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of communication and talks in the conscious sexuality realm. And, but when you go out into the real world, how is it? There is that, the Tantra-esque conscious spiritual people. But what about the rest of the world? You know, what about the guys, who have grown up in religions or conservative or just regular families where like they don't even talk about it, that it's so separate from a man, or never had a sister, never had a feminine, counterpart growing up. To see a guy or a man, rise and to really look and discover what it is and to be amazed by, the whole process of it and really conscious of it brings so much, expansion to the world, to life itself as a man, to really tap in to that and to feel a connection, because the sperm is connected to that. Like there's no disconnection from menstruation and happening in a woman to a man. Like
If it
there
wasn't
is
for blood, you
definitely a
wouldn't
connection.
exist. I
What?
said if it wasn't for blood, you wouldn't exist.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about. And people don't even take the time to even understand it. That like to core that correlation, that connection. It's like, oh wow, wait a minute.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
at some point in life, it ends as well. It's not like it happens and it's going on through all of life. It's part of the process of life. It's part of the cycle. It's part of the natural, organic, processes of the body. That's not to be tampered with. But to evolve, to evolve from it, to understand it, to not be afraid of it, to not, be disgusted by it.
Yeah. Somehow, some way, finding a way to celebrate it.
Yeah.
In some capacity, I'm speaking to everyone, to those of you that experience it and those of you that witness it in others. I even had a girlfriend, and when I'm in relationship with women, we regularly tell each other when we're on our moon, and we say, happy moon cycle, and we tell
Yeah.
it's like it's a thing. It feels so good, yeah, yeah. What time is it, Beauty?
It's 40. We have about 20 minutes.
Okay. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Kristopher Lovestone said it's really good lube. The blood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It can work. It can work. It's an entirely different sensation. Like that's what I would say. It's very, very different. Like in the way my yoni responds, and yeah, it's so different. And so the reason why I asked about the time, I have to use the bathroom, and since we have 20 minutes, you answer, you talk, you entertain them, and I will be right back.
Yeah, I don't know. The topic of menstruation to me is just, it's such a powerful topic. I don't know if anybody else out there is watching and listening, or perhaps after it's done being live. But yeah, I mean, it's great to have a conversation, to be able to really communicate and have a conversation about the topic. It's something that's been hidden, and just, people have been just looked down upon, or women have been looked down upon. I feel like for years or hundreds of years that women, it's always been the woman to take care of herself and women as a group, rather than the man having anything to do with it. I mean, even seeing my mom and my dad wanted nothing to do with it. Just nothing to do with it. Like, it's your job to go out and buy tampons or sanitary products. It's not my job. I feel uncomfortable doing that, rather than standing up and like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do this for you. I'm doing this for men. I'm doing this for the chance to evolve and look at something from a different perspective. And that's worth, everything. That's worth living. All of that, to be able to change and to evolve and to expand from what we know to or what we're used to, or what we grew up around, and actually breaking down that cycle. So, and giving power to the future generations, a completely new, look, a new view of what anything is, or what not penetration, but menstruation is.
I feel like the more pleasure we find in the moon cycle, the less pain we'll have, both emotionally and physically, and relationally. It's just, yeah, it's a dualistic experience, life, you know, and the moon is one of those. You know, the moon can represent the period, the flow can represent shadow and darkness, but it also represents light and life. And yeah, I get it. It's scary. It's a lot. It's a pretty big deal. You better respect it and be scared. You know?
Oh my.
But, you know, yeah, there's a reverence, you know. Like I get the fear. But
yeah,
to honor, you know, like I don't want to dishonor the fear and the parts of us that, and those of us that may still not be as celebratory with the moon cycle. Like it makes sense. That's just the society we live in. For one to be as celebratory about the moon cycle is more of a rarity. Well, if you're in California, there's probably a little bit more, depending where you live. You know, culture, society, like, so I don't like living in New Hampshire. I live in New Hampshire right now, and I feel like I am like the tie-dye chick in a plaid square.
yeah.
Finding people that can relate to me on this level, like what I'm talking about here, without having to educate them and be the teacher, it's rare.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And I was just thinking, you know, to start off, you know, when you first experience your period, like I don't know, they say now it could start very young for some girls, like 10, 11, up to the age of 13, 14, maybe. Why not, you know, like in Germany, oh, sorry. Is it okay? Oh,
Am I here?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. I was just thinking, you know, to celebrate from the beginning of the period when we have our first period. Do we actually ever celebrate that? I know I didn't. And there's probably a lot of people out there that have never celebrated it. But I was just thinking, in Germany, they actually, for the first day of school, they have these the big, like, primary school, like kindergarten level. They have these big, I don't know what they're called, but they're like two tubes almost, and they put little stuff in there to celebrate the first day of school. So pens, pencils, little erasers, chocolates, probably all these things. Why don't we have something, you know, for the period? You know, maybe not, it doesn't have to be like that, and you don't have to go out and get, you know, tampons to celebrate, but why not, you know, I don't know, like a journal or something, you know, sacred, some special stones or special meaningful things, you know, that come up for you, you know, in creating a special space, you know, to always know that, you know, it's my first period, but nothing's bad, there's nothing dirty, there's nothing bad, that knowing that, you know, when I get into a relationship, that I will have needs, I will need to explore more of what it means to me, but, you know, kind of knowing that it's all okay, all these things that I'm feeling and experiencing, you know, with myself is okay, knowing that, you know, and with a partner that I can share in this experience with as well. And if they can't, then, or if they, you know, they want nothing to do with it, maybe then it's not a good match. or maybe they need time because they've never experienced that. But I think having a really positive experience from day one of the period is really important. And I think, again, this is why understanding it as a man and understanding it as a woman is so powerful. Even if you're older and maybe you're not, as a man, and even if you don't have girls, let's say you're a guy and you're married to a woman and all you have boys, for instance, you don't have a daughter, but it's so incredibly important to stress what the period is as a father, as a role model, because there's not a lot of men out there that are actually teaching their boys how to honor or at least look at the relationship and the science and the meaning of the period of menstruation. Like, it takes a real man to really understand it and to really, to choose to choose that, what I want to change myself for the future of, of others, of the future, possibilities of children. Because knowing that can change myself, can change my relationship with my partner, can give my sons an opportunity to be able to connect with a woman in a deeper way and bridge that gap between, the masculine and the feminine, bridge the gaps rather than ripping, going to two opposite sides, of the pendulum, and actually bridging the gap and actually getting closer to each other.
Yeah. So one of the things you shared in the beginning there, in general, just like with our children, like finding ways to celebrate. It reminded me, I can't remember if it was a friend or I saw this online or something, but like celebrating, having a period party, if you have daughters, and I think I saw they like how have fun, why not make it fun? You can hang up tampons dipped in red paint. You can have a red cake, red velvet cake. That's what it was. It was a red velvet cake. Like dressed in all red and just
that sounds great.
Fun, Not like if you can make a big deal out of it and make it spiritual and sacred, if that's what your family feels or what your daughter wants, or maybe just make it fun and light so there's not as much shame and pain.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be God. Ugh. If I had children, I would definitely we would throw on some period parties. Yeah.
So fun. I know. And it was just thinking, like, what would it be like, though, if you as a woman in a relationship with whomever, it doesn't matter, another woman or a man, and actually standing there without any sanitary products and actually bleeding in front of your partner so they can see all of you and really see you and you in that moment. Like, that's quite intense. And just to experience that from another's perspective as well.
Yeah, so I actually had an experience where I've had many experiences being gazed at while on my moon, but there's one in particular that's bringing up, it was at an event and we're doing yoni gazing, but with a speculum. So you can open her up and really see inside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the way they explained it, he's like, oh my God, it's like, he saw like the Milky Way, and he saw the little blood dripping out. It was like life, just he saw like everything moving, and it was just, and to feel and see the excitement, like it was like a little boy who just discovered, a hard on for the first time. um it was so beautiful. I was just laughing. I remember just laying there like laughing and smiling. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe all that exists inside me. Thank you. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Witnessing.
Yeah, being witnessed. I mean, it's just another aspect of the self. I mean, you think about emotionally the dark and the light, and going into different types of sexualities and kinks and things like that, that we have all these different aspects of self. But what about when we bleed? Does that mean that there's something wrong with that? Because to me, that's what it means. I mean, you can go into all these different realms of sexuality, but when it's that time in the month, oh, I don't want anything to do with it. But yet it's still connected to life, to sex, to creation, to just, it's just another part of the self. A temporary part of the self.
Yeah.
Part of the process of the body.
Some people like are just like freaked out by blood. You know what I mean? It's just it has nothing to do with the moon. And I guess there's still a way, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to look. You can wear black gloves. You can have black sheets, as you're beginning to start, it's okay to, do these things. And I understand. And there are ways, or as something as simple as Karezza shared with a hand hug, or just buying their, seeing what they need, if it's chocolate or a diva cup or a tampon. It's all very simple, beautiful stuff you can do to honor and revere this time.
Yeah. I mean, but, it's a deep, this goes back for centuries, though. This is not something that has just happened. There's a lot of conditioning. There's a lot of deep, ties to menstruation for a guy, that like it's really about breaking the cycle, retraining oneself into looking at it from a different perspective, that maybe, it's not so disgusting, even though I was raised in a conservative environment or in another religion or something that looks at blood or as a disgusting thing, and you should be separated by it. But but it does take it is a responsibility of a person, though. I mean, nobody's going to force you. Nobody's going to tell you what to do. It's a choice. I mean, not even a podcast or a stream like we do is not going to make you do anything. It just gives you guidance. So at the end of the day, it's really about consciously thinking about and maybe letting go of some of those conditions. And it may take time. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back to like the beginning of when I started getting into Tantra and, understanding life and sex and spirit. Yeah. And when I switched, and it was so long ago. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I've been blessed with this knowledge and this awareness and the capacity to communicate this to others, to be able to relate and celebrate. And with myself, like I'm single, I have lovers or partners, but I don't have any, I live alone, I'm single. And so it's up to me to create these experiences for myself now, So that's the other thing too, for all of us women, like taking the time to celebrate this time for ourselves and asking for what we need, whether that's space or attention,
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we're coming down to the end of the show now. It's been an hour. So
this was a great show. It was a great topic. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited that I have Kristopher Lovestone's book here again, The Conscious Cock, Empowered Sexuality Manual for Men. He'll be on the show in 2 weeks' time talking more about, men and the menstruation cycle, moon cycle. So he's really cool, really fun, and stay tuned to see, what's going on.
Yeah. Thank you, Kristopher, for joining us today. And we look forward to having you in 2 weeks. So, yes, definitely join us in a couple weeks. And thank you, everyone, for being here. And even if you're watching this later, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to chime in here. If you're interested in our services and how we show up in coaching, you want to connect with either of us, you can find our links and information right at the top there. And if this added to your life and you'd like to spread this out, please do. It is much appreciated. You can hit the little share button, or even clicking the like just helps it in expanding its viewers and spreading this message of menstruation celebration.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you to all the viewers and watchers, and after the live stream, thanking you to all for listening and sharing it out to the world if you can. Have a great Friday and a great weekend, and celebrate. Yay.
Thank you, everyone.
Ciao.